So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whenever you are listening to this. This is Matthew Bailey alongside my critique and partner in crime, Ricardo Medina.
Hello, hello, hello.
And this is another episode of Bears, Beats, and Bailey. And I am weirdly excited right now because technically it's 2 weeks again before Christmas Eve.
Right.
I now feel like if I have to do everything that I can, more or less like catching up on shows, reviewing shows, just doing a lot of shit before Christmas Day, and then even
Right.
worse off now with New Year's Day coming through like about a week afterwards. So it's to compile those lists that I mentioned over the past couple of months. The best stuff and the worst stuff and all that jazz. So
Right.
I don't know. I just feeling that rush. I just feeling like okay, the clock is literally winding down here, literally ticking. So I need to start to get moving now.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. You probably just kind of laid back, like whatever. But for me, it's just like, all right, have to listen to this album again. Have to watch this movie.
Yeah. I myself just had to pick up a handful of movies and then I'll be
Yeah.
alright. So.
Yeah,
Because there are a bunch of what kind of matter is all the really good movies now coming out.
yeah.
And I ain't gonna get to see that by the end of the year. So there's no way I go. Most likely by Oscars we'll make the call for that. So we'll have a second list when Oscars coming out.
Yeah, most likely with basically with especially I should say with the disaster artists, which is one that I was wishing that I got any chance to see in theaters this month, but unfortunately we're not really getting that. So I don't know how you'll get to see it. I guess I can say you'll have to wait till Oscar season comes around.
Was that Disaster Artist?
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
I would
but I
have
didn't-
loved to
you
add
wa-
that to my top 10 list. Right?
Yeah, the one excited for is Paul Thomas Anderson new movie. That
Oh,
the-
that Phantom thing.
Right, the Phantom Thread, yeah.
Yeah, I hear
really,
great things about that show, but
right, yeah, see that again, really solid scores, and I always like PTA. The last movie was a bit of a disappointment.
oh yeah, the Master. I watched.
Not the Master. Not the Master. I like the
Oh.
Master. The one after that, the comedy. That didn't work at all.
Okay, I can't remember what that show was, to be honest.
Yeah, it was meant to be his his attempt at comedy, but yeah, it didn't work.
Okay.
This was what was the name of that movie with the fellow playing the detective and Martin Short was in it. Yeah, I really
Can't remember.
And it was kind of meant to be like the Big Lebowski for now, like
Okay.
a modern, little bit.
Modern.
Had a-
Okay.
Had a vibe to it, but like I could imagine in the long run somebody would be like, oh, there's some cult film in the long run, like 10 years from now, because even Big Lebowski everybody else that's kind of generally poorly received at the time it was out.
Yes.
Right, so it's the same thing, but yeah, I watch over that movie several times. Yeah, it still don't work for me at all.
Which one? Big Lebowski.
Not Big Lebowski. The oh gosh, Inherent Vice. That's the movie.
Oh my God! I forgot about that movie. Wow.
Yeah.
First that show just came and went for me. Like, although I love that poster and the logo
Yeah.
look awesome, but I heard so stuff about the show, so I just
Yeah, it's
catch
a
up.
big. For me, it was a really big disappointment.
Right.
Well, however, from what I understand, the Phantom Thread is his return to form.
All right.
You get out it's much like what Wes Anderson had with the Grand Budapest Hotel. No?
Yes.
So,
And speaking
it's just
of Wes Anderson, there was a movie. Wait, that animated film hasn't
Yes,
come out as yet, right? Has it?
Isle of Dogs.
Yeah, Isle of Dogs. Yeah.
Isle of Dogs. Yeah,
That's
come
what
out.
I'm looking forward to.
That's a pretty hype for it.
Well, next year. Hopefully
Yeah.
when it does come out. But on the subject of cult classics or cult favorites, good thing you mentioned that, though, because two of the shows I'm going to be talking about today, the Orville season 1 from Fox,
Right.
and Resident Evil the final chapter, technically could fall under those cult favorites, under that category, in my opinion.
Right.
So I finally watched out the first season of the Orville. I know
Right.
you were watching it weekly. So
More or less,
so we could both share our thoughts about it. And me being a non-Trekkie, it'll be kind of interesting exactly how this conversation goes.
Right.
Unfortunately, I suffered through Resident Evil the final chapter, and when I get to that review, I'll actually explain why and
Yeah.
why I'm actually reviewing that show. And speaking of movies that I've been meaning to see and review, I took in Mother Boy,
Boy.
Darren Aronofsky's
Yes. Yes.
controversial movie.
Yeah,
I don't want
yeah.
to call it a magnum
Well,
opus yet.
right.
Not yet. But it could be in the long run. I can't really say for now. But yeah, boy, I took in that show. I was so excited to see it. So I braved through it. And we are going to do a spoiler review of it, because I know last time when you reviewed it, Ricardo, you had to be like as
No, yeah,
spoiler
because
free
one of
as
those movies,
humanly possible.
as I said, it's one of those movies. Once I say something, you know it about, and I doubt you'll like it as much. And it was
Yeah.
spoiled. It was spoiled for me. And if I had to figure it out after, I'm sure I'd enjoy the movie more. But I still enjoy the movie.
Right, and you mentioned some hints. So when I was thinking about when I was watching it, that's
Yeah.
when it started dawning on me. Although I didn't pick up on it early, I only
Right.
picked up it somewhere like in the second half of the show. I
Right.
was like, oh, that's what Ricardo's talking about. Oh, okay.
Right.
Now I see we get it.
Yeah.
And also too in terms of movies, we saw Good Time, which is
Yes.
a crime thriller, well,
Right.
crime drama technically, which stars none other than Robert Pattinson,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
An actor that I was, I've never really fancied at all.
Right.
Especially since he came out with, the Twilight
He
Saga. and all that.
he did well right after the little shitty vampire movies he did. He did something that I kind of like. That was Cosmopolis, I think, if I remember correctly.
Well, I actually remember the title.
Right.
It wasn't a
And-
sci-fi or something, was it?
It was right.
Right.
It was kind of sci-fi, but it was cool. I thought it was kind of fascinating in its own way, and a lot of it worked for me.
Okay.
Uh,
And if I'm not mistaken, he was in the Lost City of Z, right, which you reviewed months ago.
sorry.
Wasn't he in the Lost City of Z?
Yeah.
which you read?
He was right. He was in that as well, right? He has a
Right.
side character in that, and he was pretty good in that as well.
Yeah.
He kind of got lost in the role actually.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
And on the subject of that too, just a little segue. I see certain critics putting it as best of the year, that movie, but I know
Really?
you were kind of indifferent. You were just like, well, it was.
Okay, no, well, for me, I don't know about best of the year or anything like that, but for me, it was just a nice surprise. Where I thought it was gonna be like some bullshit adventure movie, and it ended up being this somber British biopic. But nah, I can't in good conscience say it's some best of the year for me. I mean, compared to other shit I had for this year, that was so damn good. Nah. And there's a real strong year.
Indeed.
I find this year real goddamn strong.
Yeah,
not since 2014 we had such a strong year
right.
for film, in my opinion.
And on the subject of that, to be honest, just coming up with the list is so goddamn hard right now, especially top 10. Whew,
Yeah. What
real
film
hard.
I released? Yes, I'm not gonna get a chance to see everything that I more than likely would have been on the list by the time we'll have to do it.
Yeah.
Sadly, it's a bunch of films I'll just miss because but most of the stuff that's gonna be on the list. So ever.
Right. So before we get to actual reviews, we have to talk about just a little preamble as we normally do. A few trailers that came out over the past few days. The first trailer for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom came out. The director this time is J.A. Bayona. He made a film that I was dying to see last year, but I didn't get around to it. A Monster Calls. Heard a lot of great things about that show, but I just never got around to it.
He directed that.
He directed that. So the trailer itself, I mean, it looks pretty good, but here's the thing: like, I wasn't really wowed by Jurassic World to begin with, which is funny, which is why we never did an actual review of the movie, because we saw it around the time when we actually started BSB and Bailey to begin with, right? But we just started off with Terminator Genesis, which was a worse movie, but whatever. So I wasn't really like blown away by Jurassic World. It did feel like a nostalgia piece, similar to like Star Wars, the Force Awakens.
Right.
But
Well,
it was fun,
it was,
and
it got away.
Pratt and,
Yeah. It got away with a lot because of how tongue in cheek everything was.
Yeah.
And to me, in my head, this was the scenario in my head of, well, this is what the Jurassic Park sequel should have been anyway. Like, this is what should have been.
Like if Lost World didn't exist.
Right,
Although
exactly.
Kind of like Lost World, but it doesn't hold up at all, but still.
I never liked Lost World, and I remember kind of liking 3, but 3 just felt pointless as well.
3 was pointless. I didn't care for 3 at all.
And I hated the ending to 3. I was like, oh, this is all they're going to do this bullshit, really?
Yeah. But Fallen Kingdom, but Jurassic World was alright. They had a lot of fans.
Right, I had fun with it. It was just a very expensive B movie. That is the idea.
Yes,
and
a B movie in truth. It was a B movie. Right down to the whole thing about taking velociraptors and putting them in the military. I was like, okay, slow your roll. But just a couple things about the trailer, just to run through quick. So yeah, I saw the trailer and I was like, all right, well, it looked good. The volcanoes and the dinosaurs running, and I thought it was gonna do more, but they didn't actually. And I heard actually that the director said that's within the first hour of the movie, so there's more to it than that. But glad I didn't reveal too much of it or too much of the story. But it just feels like the whole set piece is just this volcano. And if it is, then it's just going to be like empty for me. But overall, I saw it. I was like, all right, well, none for me to go crazy about. It was alright, but you hated it, so why?
Yeah,
why you hate it?
I totally hated this trailer. It was just it just felt lazy. Like I don't know. I sat down and I was like, what the hell? I just watch.
It was that bad for you?
Yeah, it was bad because and they decided to do this dumb set piece where they fall into the water or some lame shit like that.
Yeah,
like,
they could have stopped before they even hit
like
the water.
cut all of that now. Cut all of
You
that.
don't need to see it. Like, oh my god, a brontosaurus is fell in the water. Like who cares? You're just letting the scene prolong for too long. Come on, just cut it. You know what I mean? But
yeah, exactly. I just it's just a boring trailer. Nothing about it. Nothing about this trailer hyped me to watch this.
Even the musical cues I didn't really buy into.
Yeah,
like,
it's a really to me it's a really badly designed trailer. That's the problem with it. That it's almost as if like who they hired to design this trailer is like the laziest shit ever. No?
Wow.
Badly edited. It is a trailer that just didn't work for me. I like it is really when you go on the internet to have the internet meme I sleep. Yeah, that's what it was. I sleep. It was like okay, bye bye. I almost immediately forgot about it.
Yeah.
But after it ended, I was like, okay, well, I need more to like comment on it.
Mm.
Like you'll want to kind of comment on it, or you'll be on like some forum or something like that where you'll be like, hey, that trailer, what do you think? Nope, just like next. I just scroll. Yeah, that's it. Scroll on my mouse. Bye bye. It's one of those that it's really a bad trailer in my opinion. It just did not hype me at all.
Yeah, personally I'm not excited for this one. It's just like, oh, we having a sequel. Well, of course, because Jurassic World made a shit ton of money. So yeah.
And it was very successful. So I can't really fault them for making it this way or whatever it is. They cater into that. Whatever.
Yeah. All right. Second trailer we got actually was for a movie based off of an anime. Well, I should say an anime based off of a manga as well.
Right.
Alita, Battle Angel.
Right.
And here's the thing, like the names is what caught me. I saw Robert Rodriguez. I was like, hey, wait now. I thought you were supposed to do this sort of low budget kind of thing.
Right.
And then I saw James Cameron. Well, I saw his name and then I saw Lightstorm. I was like, wait.
Right. I'm happy Robert Rodriguez is not making a movie out of his garage. So
I'm glad to.
Right. I'm still sick of that shit. Like you don't need to do that. Whatever. Get on a real project, please.
Yeah. But there's a lot of big names in this movie, boy. But the two which really stood out to me, were Rodriguez and Cameron. It's like who would have thought these two would have worked together in a movie now?
Yeah, I knew for years. This was old news about Cameron wanted to do Alita Battle Angel. This is pretty old news.
Okay.
So I was like, oh shit, it's finally coming out. Okay. But I didn't know they were working on it or they were close to finishing. I didn't know. So the trailer was a nice surprise.
Yes.
To see it. But I knew Cameron was working on Alita Battle Angel for I don't know for the better part of 4 years now. It's a while actually.
All right.
News was out a while, so that wasn't the surprise to see Cameron's name there. Rodriguez as director is actually surprising.
Yes.
I was really the news of him working and his next movie gonna be $7,000 or some bullshit like that. I was like, oh well, I don't care about that. And then to see his name pop up on this, I like, okay, so you do a little misdirection with that. All right, nice.
Yeah.
I as well for the trailer itself. I'm on the fence about it because on the one end, you get what they're going for with certain things, right?
Yes.
I'm largely unfamiliar with the manga and the anime, so I
need to do my research on that.
Well, not really. I actually not gonna watch it. I just want to see this as a product on its own. I don't want it to poison that well.
Okay, I gotcha.
I'm not gonna watch it or use it as any kind of baseline or anything like that. Just gonna go into this blind, avoid Alita Battle Angel, and it'll have a bunch of nerds on the internet go fight it on and kind of compare.
Ghost in Shell.
Huh? Right, exactly. And well, in the case of the Ghost in Shell was super popular long before that. So it's not like unless you're Alita Battle Angel, nowhere near as popular as Ghost in the Shell. And so the choices they make with the story and doing this, that, and the other, you understand where you're going for. And then, well, the big controversial thing about this trailer is the main character's eyes.
Yeah.
That design choice they do. Now, again, you notice everybody else have normal faces and eyes. But she's the one with the big cartoon eyes, with the big neoteny, if you want to borrow a term from biology, the neotenic face now. She looks like a child, but an adult at the same time, kind of shit.
Yeah, but that character herself is motion capture, right?
But everything is. I mean, from what I understand.
No, I mean, like that one character is not human, quote unquote, in the film.
Well, no, in the world of the film, she's cybernetic. I don't know what was your question.
No. Okay, what I mean is like
the actress.
The actress.
No, there's a real actress behind that.
Right. So what I'm saying
Right.
is like the person that we see playing Alita, Alita herself,
Yeah.
the character that we see on screen is not a real character. It's not a real actor.
Yeah, there's an actress behind that.
Okay, so it's just the eyes that they change. Okay,
Yeah, just like a big. Right. No, here's the thing.
Is the
In
movement
the
and all
world.
the designers make me think that this is a CG character that they designed. I was like,
Oh
okay,
no. Right.
Yeah,
So
that-
you're
that's
saying
what
it
got
no. The thing is, it's way too much hard work to do that shit. You know? Like everything, even if it does look real cartoony, is most likely mocap at this point. Anyway, the big eyes thing, I get what they're trying to do because she's supposed to be neotonic, but in this original story, and again, I kind of spoil it for me because I kind of know the original story already. She's supposed to be a blending person. Whatever.
right,
So whatever, I don't know where they're going to go for. So it might be a first draft of her design, and then she might become a normal looking person at the end. Maybe don't know what they're going to do. Whatever.
But then
First
again,
of all,
James Cameron is a perfectionist, so
Right.
if he know it not looking good or the
Right.
people don't
The thing
like
is,
it, he'll fix
I
it.
would dial back the eyes a little bit. Like I get that you have to have the big eyes, but I'll dial it back a little bit. Just drop that radius by about 20%. Because it's a little too big.
Yeah.
A little too big. I get that it had to be bigger than normal eyes, but it's a little too big.
Right.
And then, well, I'll see what they're doing with it. But again, the feeling it'll fall victim to the same problem Ghost in the Shell had, which is, decent premise but outdated. The whole cyberpunk robot person stuff.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why, thing kind of fell a little flat for me. Even Blade Runner, even the beloved Blade Runner 2049, fell a little flat because of that. Same.
Right.
It's a premise that you didn't really do that interesting. Like we've explored these concepts so well in most other works anyway. So
Right.
you had to really bring something new to the table, and I don't expect them to do that.
Right.
Ghost in the
Understand.
Shell suffered from that. Blade Runner 2049 suffered from that. So whatever, we go see.
Yeah.
Christoph Waltz in this, and cool.
Jennifer Connelly, Mahershala Ali's in it. I was like, what?
Yeah,
Big-
Mashallah.
big
Yeah.
names, boy, big
Some
names,
some
yeah.
names and faces.
Yeah.
So that's it will do better than I expected to do better than Ghost in the Shell, because Ghost in the Shell was, or other than Scarlet, almost everybody in that was kind of nobodies, right?
Well, Takeshi Kitano.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
them
well,
two and everybody else is just like, yeah,
Right.
who? What? Okay.
Right.
Right. Final trailer which came out. Actually, I saw it last night. The time of this recording, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
I'll confess something. I knew nothing of this show. Like I didn't know it was in the making. I didn't
Right.
know something like this existed. So I saw this
Yeah.
thing. I was like, what? Okay.
Right. Yeah. This
Computer animated film. Okay. It looks
This
do
was-
it. The all right. Well, I'll just run through. Well, my thoughts quick. Visually, like it has a kind of like, okay, it's computer generated, of course, computer animated.
Yeah.
Sorry, but with the character design, I see that they're trying to go for a sort of Tim Burton used it for stop motion.
Right.
Yeah, it's going for a stop motion kind of vibe with the character movements. I thought that was pretty interesting as well. The story, I have no clue what's going on, but I like the fact that we get to see Miles Morales.
Right.
Having him encounter Peter Parker's like, I wonder if this is a jab at Marvel Studios itself for trying to claiming Spider-Man and use them in 2 movies. So I don't know if that's what they try to do there. Like if Columbia Pictures or Sony could have their own Spider-Man and then Marvel
Right.
could have their own. I'm wondering if that's what's really going on behind the scenes. But what was surprising for me is that like something like this you see like on a TV show, like it looks like a TV series to me, and that's
That's
not a
the thing,
bad
yeah.
thing. But it's like, oh, it's a big theatrical release coming out
Right.
December 2018. I'm like, okay,
Right. Now,
So-
okay. So a couple things. Well, I knew this was coming up because they did announce an Miles Morales movie sometime around the time when we saw I think right after Civil War came out.
all right. Then
I remember they
you know that.
announced it.
Yeah.
They just announced it, and I was like, all right, well, it's in the works. Okay, we'll see it when we see it. And I think Donald Glover voicing. Think so. Somebody could correct me on that.
I'm reading. Right. I'm looking at the wiki page right now,
Right.
and the guy who is
Who's he voice?
playing him is Shamik Moore.
Okay,
He
now well,
was in the Get Down.
okay. So
Yeah.
all right, okay, no problem. Anyway, so
Curse you Netflix for canceling the Get Down. But
right.
moving on.
So this we were kind of mad about this a little bit. I really thought it would have been an all Miles Morales movie, but we just getting an entire multiverse stuff. So it's like, well, it's not the real Spider-Man. That bullshit, no.
Yeah.
So I was kind of annoyed by that. I just wanted them to do Miles Morales' story. You didn't need to do Spider-Verse.
Right. And
That-
is it just me? Sorry to cut you. Is it just me, or am I feeling a Flash vibe from it? Oh, you're not
Well,
the
that's-
only Spider-Man here. There's other realities.
Right,
There's
that shit.
other-
Yeah, that's what it is. It's Spider-Verse. I mean,
Right.
Spider-Verse is a whole arc where a bunch of other Spider people come together, and they did this a long goddamn time ago, and
Okay,
now they,
not familiar with that.
right,
arc,
and then they brought it back, and so you might get Spider-Gwen, and you might get other characters coming through now.
maybe Madam Web. Who knows? I don't know.
Right, we don't know. But basically it's a relatively recent arc. I'm largely unfamiliar with it, so I'll learn a lot from this and then, reverse engineer after the fact. I just kind of a little annoyed that they made it a Spider-Verse instead of just making a Miles Morales story one time. No, just make Miles Morales the character and just have it where Peter dies. And then because they decided to do the multiverse thing at the end, I was like, oh, that kind of lame. Whatever. But that's about it. It looked good. A couple things, as I say, it looked a little cheap. Yeah, it does look kind of like Clone Wars 3D.
Oh
3D.
yeah,
A little bit like that.
Yeah.
Little on the cheap end. Yeah, as I say, you say it was stop motion. Yeah, that's just bad frame rating. That was the problem. Like, I was watching this and like, I hope this not finished though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looking like a mess.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know if you
some of the
remember.
character movement, really makes me think like, oh, this is like a TV show watching here. Like you
Right.
say, like a Clone Wars or something like that.
Right.
It
but
actually reminds me of a bit too. I remember MTV Spider-Man.
that was dog I mentioned.
Yeah,
Back
yeah.
in 2000s, early 2000s, had this
It was,
a series
it
that
was a
kind of the
eye
whole.
film- it was an eye show. It was an eye show.
It did things. It did some
Yeah.
things. I didn't hate it, but yeah, it
I hate the
was
fact
kind-
that it just end after like 2 seasons, so whatever.
yeah, because it was like it was not going anywhere. Nobody cared. I mean, it had so many other better incarnations of Spider-Man coming up. Like compared to Spectacular Spider-Man, is a mess. So whatever.
I still kind of like the team so for Spectacular, right? So
Yeah, no, Spectacular is an excellent show. I said
Yeah.
compared to that.
oh, compared.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
right.
right. So I was like, all right, cool. For the most part, I'm excited about it. We'll see what they'll do in the beginning Miles for the first time. For me, my attitude was they should have Miles in the MCU. Either have Miles or older Peter, but whatever.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to see something and it'll be interesting. So cool.
Yeah. And just last thing I'll say in closing, because it is Sony, I expected them to do the whole product placement. I don't know, it just feels like this big Sony ad now, you know what I mean, when you watch
That's the
this thing.
problem, is that I just don't trust Sony, and Sony just
Yeah.
gonna fuck things up now. Sony just
So-
lazy and don't give a fuck about the franchise. Like on paper they seem to care, but they just don't have any workable sense of forethought or foresight with this material at all.
Yeah.
So everything is just, oh, we just have to do this thing and then get done.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, all right, no, you have to have a working plan and then you make a good movie.
Yeah.
That's the
Um,
idea.
A show that, well, fortunately for me, I haven't seen it, but this kind of reminded me of Smurfs, The Lost Village.
Oh,
It's fully animated, so
Right.
that's a gimmick, but it's a sequel that we don't really need or
right.
care.
Yeah,
you know?
at this point you don't care.
Yeah, this is what unfortunately this new Spider-Man feels like. But because it's animated, it's an animated feature film. That's the draw. That's the calling card for me. That's what's drawing me into this. So
Right.
it could be good. I mean, the character of Spider-Man is beloved, and you could do so much great things with him. But then
Exactly.
again, we've had the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, so I don't know.
Right.
We'll see.
And that's about it. What else? Well, last trailer we just got Ready Player One final trailer. I didn't think you saw that.
No, I'm now hearing about this too. So
Right.
How
So
was that
Ready Player.
trailer?
Yeah, it looking okay. I mean, basically, I'll put it like this: it's the Lego movie, but taking itself way more seriously.
Right.
I'm on the fence about the book. The book is okay, but when you think about it, it's kind of poorly written. But I know a lot of people.
Okay. I thought the book was like so goddamn brilliant that you
A
have to
lot of
buy
people
it.
will tell you that, and I
Yeah.
was like, I read it and I was like, okay, all right, moving on. To me, stuff like Snow Crash and it have many other better cyberpunk books that do the material so much better in terms of the internet and the future pop culture and this kind of stuff.
Right.
But yeah, this trailer has a bunch of new cameos. I think Tracer from the new game Overwatch in this. She have a little cameo in it. So like, all right, they're just throwing every little pop culture thing that they can find in it now. Because that's the idea. The idea is that is the apotheosis of pop culture. And then last time when we talk about the teaser trailer, I kind of mentioned about Steven Spielberg is kind of the perfect, most appropriate person to direct
the film,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, to direct this film now. So I'm like, all right, well, what do you see what you're gonna do with it? I mean, all of it is critique of pop culture and critique of the internet and critique of technology and how corporate culture and I would always argue that I always thought, especially in the United States, how pop culture has a cancerous element to it, as in it doesn't want to die or take a rest for a while, because some suit somewhere have to always make money off of this no matter what. And instead of just letting it die and go into the pop culture, tank for a while and let people forget. Yeah, franchises are just stay forever and you can never forget about it.
Pokemon, for example.
Well, for me, the two biggest is Batman and Spider-Man. I mean, people just not let fucking Batman go.
You're right, because everybody loved them Nolan films. I love them
No,
Nolan
but it's not
films.
just that. I mean, yeah, exactly. It's not just that. It's like, all right, this thing, and then you have a cartoon, and then you have a this, and then it's about this. And it's like, you can't just let it get out of the popular culture. And they refuse to let new material come up. It has so many good stories and comics that need breathing room now. And we won't see it until very, very long. It's just stuffing up the culture now. So to me, my attitude is just, you let these franchises sleep or outright die. Because to me, there are plenty of franchises that just need to go the fuck away.
Yeah.
But, and they have so many great news stories and culture and comics that could get another fair shot now. And in some ways, I'm kind of glad that people realizing how cancerous some of this stuff becoming. Well, the DCEU is like, poster child number one of that shit, right?
Oh boy, yeah.
How royally they fuck up those movies, and you just keep pushing things down people's throat, and there's such a shitty marketing. And I mean, everybody what part of what piece of machinery doing the wrong set of work.
Yeah.
With the material. So it's like they don't care about the actual material itself. So at a certain point, it'll just choke on its own vomit at a certain point. No?
Yeah.
And that's it. And Ready Player One is like, to me, a big working critique of that, and carrying its extreme logical conclusion. I don't like this book anywhere near as much as other people do. For me, it's a very fucking overrated book. But yeah, I get the material.
Right.
I get it. I get why people like it.
All right. Well, I'm just hoping that Spielberg, being the veteran director that he is, does not dumb the story down to please the fans or whatnot. He approaches the subject material maturely and gives us, like what you're talking about, a solid critique on, pop culture.
Yeah, and he himself is responsible for a lot of the shit. So,
correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really excited for what how he gonna tell this. Yeah. He's the main draw for me. Because of his very unique relationship with us and pop culture as a whole. So whatever.
Yeah. All right. So we're sticking with the tube for a while. So we'll touch on a TV show that actually wrapped up last week at the time of this recording.
Yes.
Fox's The Orville. So like we said at the very beginning, I know you were watching this show weekly. I actually binged it over the course of a couple of days.
Okay.
And the thing was with me, like when I saw the first episode, I actually had to rewatch the first episode. When I saw it for the first time, I was taken aback at the fact that this was an hour-long show. Right. And because I was thinking, Seth MacFarlane, comedy, sitcoms, who's going to keep to that half-hour stuff, right? So I was surprised that this thing was going to be an hour, right? So, and from there, I was picking up on the Star Trek worship, which I'll talk about later when I share my thoughts on the.
You I think you should. Right, you tell me how you thought it was, and then I'll just say, because I can already give multiple pieces on how I think about the Orville, but I'll give my final consensus on it, about how I feel about it, and mostly, we'll see. Go ahead now.
All right. Okay, well, I was kind of hoping that you would be the one to
all right, let me start then.
Yeah. You're the tricky. You know.
Right, no, I have no problem with that. Right, so here's the thing with the Orville.
What's about? What it's about first?
Right, so the Orville is basically a Star Trek-like show that's about a character called Ed Mercer.
Yes, played by none other than
Seth MacFarlane himself.
Seth MacFarlane, creator, executive producer, and writer for most episodes.
Right. And he's, of course, the main star as well. And the story is about him. The story starts with him getting cheated on by his wife.
Yes.
And then he went in a slump for a year apparently, and then he got called back to get his own ship because they didn't really have anybody to run this ship, this relatively small ship. And then apparently by accident, and I can't remember if it's completely by accident, but basically the wife has to helm with him.
Well, actually, she was aware that he was looking for that.
Right, no,
but
I'll bring that up after.
Rope herself in, right?
I'll bring that up after. But the idea is that, it's implied that, she is the one that, it's more or less, by the end of the season, it's clear that she's the one who basically got him the quote-unquote job.
Yes,
because of her connections into the world of the Union, what they call the Union, which is basically this version of the Federation.
Uh-huh.
Then the story starts with that. So it's just him and the wife, and then he have a best friend from his old days who's a good pilot.
Yes.
Then they introduce the new cast of characters, who's everybody's ship. The Doctor, a character called Bortus, who's basically the Klingon type character.
Yep.
A character called, oh shit, what's the robot name again?
Isaac.
Isaac, right?
Yeah.
Then the Doctor. Then they have Norm Macdonald voicing this jelly character.
Yeah.
Then they have Lamar, who's a okay character, but they didn't really give him nothing to do. Then they have Alara, who's the super strong girl.
Yes.
And yeah, and then that's it. They're just going on in the adventures throughout the space, the Union space, and then it's just a bunch of world building and in general culture and social commentary, a la Star Trek, right? It's TOS/TNG. That's it. A little bit of Voyager, a little bit so it's all the old Star Trek stuff. It kind of goes through all those story beats, story arcing, how it plays out, spec scripts. It's Star Trek if you're one Star Trek.
Right.
It's old Star Trek. That's what it is. And so I remember you and I didn't really care for the premiere.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I still agree. The premiere still kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. Really, a lot of it fall flat.
Especially them little jokes.
Right.
Them little jokes that were sprinkled here there. Right. Yeah.
The show. Here's the thing with the show. Here's why I found myself on the fence about it, but then finding myself kind of rejecting it. It has a culture of bad faith in and around it that because a lot of it is designed to seem to be quote unquote throwing shade at, in my opinion, what is a good show, Star Trek Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And just because Star Trek Discovery isn't feeling like Trek in terms of quote unquote tone.
Right, which I've heard actually. A lot of people say that.
Yeah, so it's a lot. It has a they kind of throwing shade on. Well, the Orville is real Star Trek, but the problem with the Orville is that it's cargo cult Star Trek. That's my main problem with the show. Out of the entire of the Orville, this is what? How many episodes it was? 12 episodes, right?
Yeah.
Only 2 episodes I like. Right? Out of the entire thing. Out of the whole thing, only 2 episodes I like. Episode 3.
Oh, that was brilliant. I actually watched it.
They get into a bunch of stuff in that episode. It's very, very well done, well acted, paced himself out quite well.
Brilliant.
And then episode 6. Those 2 episodes I genuinely...
Was that the one with
Charlie Theron?
Oh, okay. Well, I had another episode in mind, but I'll mention that just now. But
every other
Charlie's
episode,
Theron episode was great as well. Yeah.
Yeah, every other episode for me was either just meh to bad. Either it's a decent premise, but just executed in a weak, kind of spec scripty, lazy way, or just outright poorly thought out. And here's the fucking problem. This is the part that is Game of X, because everybody, the fans and the people who defend the show, just constantly switch about like what the show's supposed to be about or the nature of the show. And the show itself seems to be very confused about that. So people who like
yes.
Right. So here's the question. Quick question. Is the show supposed to be funny? Yes? No? Is it funny? Well, it clearly, to me, it's clearly trying to be funny. For me, it's not. It's failing at most of that humor. A lot of the humor falls flat for me. Some of the humor works, but a lot of the humor falls flat. And then you'll have people who jump and defend, well, no, it's supposed to be like Star Trek, so it's not supposed to be funny. Well, no, it's trying to be funny, clearly, because it's Seth MacFarlane. He's a funny guy. That's his whole career. Seth MacFarlane's live action stuff is terrible, like, on average.
With the exception of the first Ted. The first Ted.
Well, first Ted is halfway for me. Moreover.
Yeah.
Second Ted is a colossal waste of time.
The first Ted ran for way too long, but I didn't care for the second one at all.
Right. Yeah, the second one was a waste of time.
And A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Right.
Goddamn terrible.
That just sucked. Yeah, that is sucked.
Terrible.
And a lot of the Orville just fall flat. And another big problem with the Orville is, like, again, people like to keep telling me it's Trek, but really, if anything, it's more like bad Trek. So it'll copy all of the worst of Trek you get in this show. So
wow, okay.
There's a lot of bad Trek in it. So again, in terms of just like thinking out the logic of certain things, poorly thought out.
Right.
Probably the 2 most egregious examples for me personally was episode 7 and episode 12 itself. I thought those 2 episodes were just...
I had a feeling you were gonna mention 12.
Yeah.
12 was a weak way to end off that season, but I'll talk about that.
Right.
7, remind me what 7 is.
That is the planet. I just know it's the Planet Reddit episode. That is where...
the majority rule. Okay, that was the one that... Alright, great premise.
Right,
but
exactly.
the way how it ended, or the way how it was executed, though...
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, they was going for a Black Mirror kind of vibe there, but it was like, they just didn't.
And it didn't work at all.
Yeah.
It didn't work at all.
Mm.
As I said, another thing with this world is that it really badly, like, the world building is outright terrible. So they can't like give you clear answers on what is what, and they'll answer it after the fact, but not it won't work. So like they don't have a clear answer on, like they'll talk about something as if they never talk about it before, and then mention that thing after the fact, as if it's a big deal. So okay, a classic example. So like take for example from episode 7 to episode 12.
Right.
The two most running threads is the idea that it's a simpler planet, so you're not supposed to interfere with them. In episode 7, Mulsandy, his commander, is played by Victor Garber. I forget the guy's name.
Right, I forgot his name too.
Right. They have this argument about, well, what if we not supposed to interfere and so on so. So in my head, I was like, all right, but the way how this conversation went is that, well, they don't know about the Prime Directive, or they don't have an equivalent of the Prime Directive for the Union. Right?
Right.
Whatever. I was like, all right, well, they don't really have one. All right, so they're trying to hide, but they're trying to be anthropologists. And then episode 12 now, they make their own version of the Prime Directive. So you're wondering, in terms of writing and world building, think about that shit after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, by episode 12, oh shit, we need a proper Prime Directive for our world. Like you get the feeling that the thinking of it not very well thought out in terms of the building now.
Right.
And is there stuff like that that's bothered the hell out of me? Because again, if it's supposed to be like Trek for real, you're fucking it up.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm gonna that's a problem. It's just an attitude of uncharitability that the people who call themselves Orville fans, and again, they to me, they kind of use this to throw shade at Discovery, so it kind of pisses them off. Look, Discovery have a few issues, but nowhere near as bad as this. Come on. It's chalk and cheese. The attitude is that, well, they're supposed to be good Trek, but it's just Trek in terms of the imagery and the music and the song, but that's cargo cult bullshit. It's not. None of it in terms of writing is interested. All of the concepts is Monday morning quarterbacking. Some of the premises it's kind of work. Like they only had one premise that kind of impressed me, and that was okay. That was the Flatland episode.
Yeah, that was a cool premise. Yeah, it was.
Right,
it was.
Decent premise. I didn't see Trek really do it in this way, and they did their own thing with it. I mean, I would have preferred if they meet the aliens, but whatever, it's fine. And then they just didn't think out the running premise or something, and that's the problem with the show, is that he just not trying hard enough. Seth MacFarlane and I will argue that Seth MacFarlane is the root of the problem. Is like Gene Roddenberry for Star Trek. Gene Roddenberry created Star Trek. Mm-hmm. Gene Roddenberry made Trek good, but Gene Roddenberry is not the person who made Trek great. Let's be clear about that shit. He had a ton of terrible fucking ideas. And that is how it's coming across with Seth MacFarlane, is that it's as if Gene Roddenberry casted himself as Kirk or Picard. And just think about how terrible of an idea that would have been. Right?
Right.
Seth MacFarlane has a big problem. Seth MacFarlane has terrible screen presence.
Yeah.
So,
just for a sec, going back to Roddenberry for a bit. So is that the reason why we had those sort of campy episodes of Star Trek?
Not really. It's just what happens that Roddenberry wanted to have. He had a specific agenda, right? He had a very, very humanistic agenda. So the way how he keep writing Star Trek is that the Federation could kind of do no wrong. That was kind of the big problem with Roddenberry. Okay. So many of his ideas was just everything looking is the Sky Mall now. Is the mall in space, and everything nice and perfect, and everybody have values and so on. So, but when you actually think about it, a lot of I share these values myself. I am a humanist. I like these values about the future and whatnot. But you have to understand that these values, they couldn't come about just so, and they would require a workable sense of challenge. Right? That's why DS9 is a better show than TNG in many ways, because TNG was just preaching. That's what Gene wanted. Gene just wanted a didactic thing. And there's the problem with Seth MacFarlane, that he just want to do this. The show does always do this as well, where it have this didactic message stuff. But because it's so misguided, a lot of it doesn't work. Again, the only episode that made it really, really work was episode 3. Concept-wise, also from a morality standpoint, the reason I like episode 6 is because they did the interesting idea of, well, they were going to die anyway kind of thing now. Which is actually quite challenging from a moral standpoint, if you think about it. And so that's about it. But everything else is like, forgettable. Right. The other episode, Liam Neeson.
It was. I didn't even know he was going to be in that show. What I said, was like, holy shit. Right. Liam Neeson's in this. Wow.
Yeah, it's a nice little cameo. But the episode itself is like, all right, okay. And my last little point about it is that the show. Here's the thing. I really want the show to be like akin to American Dad, where American Dad started off pretty weak. A lot of the jokes was dated and fell flat. And the same thing with this show. This show does just do these like obvious takes on modern society. So like, oh well, social networking is bad. Well, okay, you need to do more than that in terms of world building. Or something like which episode it was that just really sucked, that pissed me off good. Oh right, reality television is bad. Okay, well you're kind of insulting reality television. Or
right,
well,
the
episode
Galactic
2.
Zoo thing, right? I remember
Right.
that. Mhm.
And then the episode 12 one is like, oh well, humans will be bad regardless of religion. So you're kind of off the
Yeah.
hook. I'm like, what
And
the
it's
fuck?
like the
That
second
makes
time
any
they
sense?
touch on religion in this show, but I'll talk about that
No,
too.
no, look, it's Star Trek stuff. But you see, Star Trek was smart enough to either stay away from it or dodge it in a smart way, or address it directly, but in a smart way after the fact. Right? So
Right.
that is what TNG did. TNG avoided it, which to its detriment, DNG suffered because of that. And then DS9 addressed it really intelligently, for the most part.
Okay.
And that's the problem with the show. It's just so preachy and just like, ha ha ha, we're laughing at a thing, but the joke not funny that really. And the whole show just fall flat, feel really dated. I made the joke that saying that how since Victor Garber left Legend of Tomorrow, he should take over from
Yeah.
Alan's character. A lot of it doesn't work. Look, there's a lot in the show I really don't like, but there's a couple things I do like, and they still need to get off the ground properly. Look, I don't want the show to get cancelled by any stretch of the imagination or anything like that. A lot of it suffers. The critics do come down a little too harsh on it. I wouldn't give it that low of a score, but it still has a lot that I really don't like. And mostly because you already hate the thing, but you tend to hate the fans who defend the thing because
Yeah.
they defend it with the dumbest arguments
Mhm.
or with bad faith. So you yourself like want to just come down and hammer on it just to keep hammering down the point of how much shit the show could be. But you yourself don't really hate it that much because you're willing to let it go. So is that weird space I put myself in? Whatever. That's just my 2 cents about the show. Look, as I said, I want Star Trek to be good. I want Orville to be good, but Orville need to try more than this. Right? They need to sit down, make the humor work, make it flow better. By the way, the show has some atrocious editing and like little production value things that is just straight up terrible. Whatever. But I don't care. That's
Right.
not something I'll fight down. Like they had an episode where what episode this was, boy, where the one after the one with the black woman and she's 2 sons get lost. I think it's episode 8. That was where. Oh, episode 9. I forget which one.
What happened in it? If you describe it, I'll remember.
I'll tell you what it was. It's the one where Lama became the engineer.
Oh,
That's the one I'm trying to remember.
right. That's the
flat one.
Right, the flat one.
Right, and the other part where the little boy they make a joke, and I forget what the joke was, but the joke was at the expense of I think the little jelly character that was played by Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
And the joke was it's supposed to be funny, but they do the most awkward, shitty cut to have the little boy laugh at the jelly thing. I was like, wait,
And then they cut to the next scene. I remember that.
and
Yes.
fuck, that is a really
Like,
bad.
really?
It's like some amateur level bullshit. Wow.
That's some Sesame Street kind of edited. Like,
Yeah. It's
They
like
cut to the next
that's the
skit.
problem is that the awful real amateur at times do. That is the problem I have with it too now. Like I expect that shit from that pilot, but nah, boy, this was a mess, dread. It really unpolished. That's my problem with it. Too unpolished. Too many things I have an issue with it. They need to improve. Hopefully, season 2 they'll come better and have it flow a little better. Have it be funnier. Punch up the humor. Punch up the dialogue. Have it flow better. The only person who stay consistently good throughout the entire series, so far, has been Bottas. You know that guy.
Yeah. He's the best character in this whole show.
He's the best character. Everything about him works, and
He's the most interesting character. He's the most interesting.
Yeah, everything about him works. He plays the role perfectly. And that's about it. Everything else is like they never do anything with the robot. They could do something interesting with him later, but they didn't do anything with him interesting yet. They give him a kind of episode with the little 2 boys. That's alright.
Yeah, that was alright.
Yeah, but that's it. Again, another meh episode.
Yeah.
But that's it. Whatever. Say what you want to say. Say.
All right. So as a non-Trekkie, let me share my thoughts on the Orville. Now I could tell that this was a passion project for Seth MacFarlane. You know, you could tell this man loved Star Trek, and it's funny that he could make this thing on Fox, so he could kind of stick it to people who thought, oh, he just all about Star Wars, and then also stick it to Paramount. It's like, oh well, they have all their Star Trek. Well, you know what, Fox has our as our own Star Trek too, you know.
Right.
So yeah, and you could tell that this man was overjoyed to have this thing be on TV, you know, to be Captain Picard or Captain Kirk, you know, like it's like a boyhood dream come true. I get it. That's great and everything. There's a lot of Star Trek worship in this. from the way the music sounds, the score, the theme song, um, even to the way it fades out to a commercial break is so Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even one gripe that I always have though is just that in between those scenes, or like every time look to end the show, you realize they tend to use a lot of the same established shots of the Orville moving, right?
Right.
Yeah. And it did take me out a lot of times. It's like, all right, okay, I know budget, blah 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 blah, but it's the same damn shot they're using every single
Right.
episode.
Yeah.
Like,
There's the
yo,
same. Right.
now you can make the argument that although I am not the die-hardest of fans when it comes to Star Trek TV shows, they could make the excuse and say, well, they used to do that back in the days too.
And that's the problem.
Use the same kind of shots, the same.
That's the problem,
use
is that
those
it-
things as transitions. But
Yeah,
then
and
again, that brings
Yeah,
up.
no,
But
that is a bad faith argument. So
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
we're gonna copy everything about Trek and it's an homage. And it's like, no,
And
that's just bad.
right.
No
And-
homage,
and-
bad Trek. You don't need to do that.
Yeah, and that is the main
Yeah.
problem that I have with this. Actually, it just brings up a whole set of problems. But really,
Yeah.
it's just you're loving this thing so much that you want to just recreate it without really
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
a lot
Cargo-
different or interested.
Yeah,
Now-
cargo cult Trek.
Right now, narratively, they do make some interesting changes, a little developments.
Yeah.
One major example being the character of Bortus,
Right.
this male Vulcan-esque alien who
Right.
has a male
Yeah, he Vulcanish, but he Klingonish mix up
Yeah.
kind of something. Yeah.
and he has a male mate, and he could
Right.
he could actually give birth and all that kind of stuff. Like, I
Right.
love to me, he is the most complex of all the characters.
Yeah.
And you know how he's always so committed to his job, although I felt that they would have kind of explored that a little bit more, because they always have these little banter between him and his significant other about
Right. And that's your boy. That's your boy Chad Michael Cole. Eh?
Oh really? Okay. I
It's
didn't
supposed to be, if I
even-
remember
right.
correctly. Yeah.
Yeah. So they touch on it, but they don't really go further than that.
Right.
Also, the character of Isaac, who I thought was pretty interesting as well, as the robot who's trying to learn about being
Right.
human.
That-
Reminds
no,
me a lot
okay,
of
so- so
of
Isaac-
stuff. Right.
Isaac is a perfect example of what the problem I have with the show, right? So, the problem with Isaac's character is so he's basically Data, right? That's
Yeah.
basically what-
Oh, of course. Derp.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. When Data was written, it made sense for Data being like that at the time in the late 80s, early 90s, because we really didn't know much about how the mind works, or how the brain, like all the science and all the ideas of how the brain works, proteins, these kind of things. And you would think they would update the version of what Data should be like now, given what science we know now. And again,
Yes.
this is the difference. This is a big difference between this and the current crop of Star Trek writers. The current crop of Star Trek writers, they know this shit when it comes to current science fiction, science concepts and physics concepts, or biology concepts,
Yeah.
right? Or even ideas about what we should think about gender and whatnot. Whilst the Orville is still cargo culty Trekish.
Yeah.
in
It
the
still
sense that-
feels dated, even right down to
Dated.
the character design
So
of
his
Isaac.
character, here's
Yeah.
what I hate about his character. He just like Data in the sense of, well, I don't get jokes. So
Yeah.
he will
What is a joke? Tell me what is a joke.
Right, that shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you would think that you would have somebody explain that shit at the time. At the time when TNG was written, I understand why people would have trouble with that. So you would write a character who would not have trouble with that. You get it, because he fish out of water character.
Yes.
But now, I have a big problem with that.
Yeah. You're right, because well, let's get back to what I was saying.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're absolutely right, because the show does take archetypes of Star Trek. It takes the stern Vulcan character who's always dedicated to his job, the
Yeah.
robot / fish out of water who just doesn't understand humans. You know what I mean?
Right.
The Doctor herself. Well, I mean, I love the actress who plays her, but
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
thought it was pretty interesting how they had her being a single mom with two,
Right,
with
but
two boys
right,
and
I
all
like
that kind
that.
of stuff. Yeah, that was
Right.
cool. But then they had this whole long running thing with the blob character from
Right.
played by Norm Macdonald, trying to get with her as like a gear that they're trying to be comedic, but it's just not
working at all.
There's
Yeah.
one scene which to me, well, one episode which to me was probably the worst of all of them, was when Kelly, who's played by Adrian
Right.
Palaki, her
Right.
ex-boyfriend, comes back. That was like the
Derulio.
worst, yeah.
Okay. That episode stood out as pretty particularly bad as well.
Wow,
But for one,
wow. Especially
one
the way how
major
it
reason.
ended, though.
Right. For one major reason, because they basically implied that it wasn't Kelly's fault. And this is another big problem I have with the Orville. Why does you know learning about shit like that in the world of the Orville? Why does that every characters are notably ignorant about shit that they should not be ignorant about?
Right.
Think about that for a second. So you trying to tell me you didn't know that this race does that? That is a big secret
That's
among
actually
them.
a good point, man. Yeah. For real.
That is a big fucking thing about something like that. Again, if you're saying that it's supposed to be a joke, fine. Problem is that most of the humor not funny, and it kind of fallen flat. And on top of that, they take away agency from the Kelly character. And that is another thing. The entire arc of Mercer is about everything. Almost all his actions is driven by my wife cheat on me, and I get to be passive aggressive towards her.
Yeah.
That kind of beta male shit now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but I get what the character's supposed to be. He's supposed to be kind of, for lack of a better term, I just look at him as beta male Kirk. That is what he's supposed to be, right? If Kirk is a big alpha male swagger type, he's supposed to be kind of weak and nerdy and not that smart, but are still, a kind of gentle, but are supposed to be a kind of douche and passive aggressive about everything.
And I heard too, man. I heard too. You know?
Right, and I supposed to be kind of talking out of my right kind of thing now, and they need to understand me, but I'm not really that commanding. I don't really. I get what they're trying to go for, but that shit just falling flat. Wrap it up, please.
You know, it was annoying from the first episode.
It
just kept going at it like, so that's why, don't get married. You know, that's what happens when your wife cheats on you with a blue guy. You know, and it just keeps going. No, I like that there was some character development between the two. They do kind of warm up to each other, but then in the end, I'm not gonna spoil what happens. It just kind of fizzles out again, and it just happened to end the show.
What they do?
This kind of weird down note, like why you look to end the season, your first season like that? You're like, if this is some big integral part of the whole story, like no, not really.
Right, I get what I don't mind the fact that they didn't need a big cliffhanger or anything like that. I thought that was fine. But it was still
I was let down by the end, but all right.
Right, I thought it was still dumb in terms of like what they do with the world building itself. So okay, the final episode had this big thing where she interfered with our planet. They create a religion around her.
Yeah.
And then the big message was, well, it wouldn't have mattered because this is how the society would have played itself out. I like, you're fucking serious?
Oh, really?
No way. What?
And what I love about that episode too is that the people who got killed, that's all we'll see. They never really justify that. It's just like,
that's what I'm trying to say is that
because they didn't believe in this. No, sorry, they didn't believe.
My thing is that
they committed crimes there, but okay, you rectify things. So so the people who kill these people get no comeuppance. Like
that's why I study as like the way it is that history play itself out.
Yeah.
And
so what?
You're still supposed to have a bunch of people with their lives on your conscience to a certain extent, but the attitude is what thing would have played out like that in the ending now, where the future people come and talk to them. Another dumb thing is that they decide to have Isaac come back, and then they say they get used to Isaac. Like what? Nothing about that makes sense.
Yeah.
Nothing about that makes sense. Dog, if something like Isaac show up, people go after him, try to reverse engineer him, all that shit. Nothing.
Probably worship him, you know.
Whatever.
With that whole religious theme.
That was it.
Yeah, so that's the teams themselves. There's some interesting teams, right? Though, well, because I'm a non-Trekkie, I imagine that these things have been done millions of times before in these shows, right? So you have religion, you have sexuality, you have I guess social interaction, like with that one episode with the majority thing, which had this interesting Black Mirror kind of vibe going along with it. And it had a great premise, but it just didn't know what to do with it, unfortunately. Like, it could have gone a little bit further with it. There was one particular episode which touches on religion again, which kind of made no sense to me, where it was with the Krill. Well, that's the title, Krill.
Right.
Supposed to find the Bible, their Bible,
evil, the bad guy
reads, right? That, blah blah blah, and it was like, and the way how it ends though on this real bleak note is like, okay, really, and that's another major flaw with this show is the tone of it. Like, I get that you want to go for this Star Trek kind of vibe, so not every episode would end on this sort of happy note or reasonable note. Sometimes you have to end kind of sour or whatever it is, right? But because once again it's Seth MacFarlane at the helm of this now,
Yeah.
you can't help but wonder, okay, is this trying to be comedic or is this trying to be dramatic? Because there's moments, especially like in the beginning of that episode 7, where I was like, wait, I still watching the Orville here, because this was like some real intense shit now. The way how that majority thing started off now, where they was tracking the guy and they was looking to lobotomize him. I was like, wait.
Right.
I still watching the Orville here? What is this? What going on here now?
And they went and fucked that up.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing with me and just the whole approach with the showing period, right? Now, let me just use Edgar Wright, for example, right? Now, I know he has done, I think there was a little sci-fi comedy he did way back when called Spaced. I never saw Spaced. I know he did other stuff before, Shaun of the Dead and all that kind of stuff. But take Shaun of the Dead, for example, right? Shaun of the Dead is inspired heavily by Night of the Living Dead.
Right.
Now, Edgar didn't stop and say, here's what, I love Night of the Living Dead so much, I'm going to recreate this show in my own image. No. He took the genre of the zombie and he made it different. He made it his own. He didn't just make it British, but he also brought this whole romantic comedy kind of vibe, because, it's what, Americans love. They love the British comedies, especially with Love Actually and all that other shit. But anyway, the point is that he took the genre and he did something different with it. But at the same time, it wasn't like it's a flat out comedy.
Right.
I still call Shaun of the Dead a legit horror, because there is legit horror stuff going on in it, but it still managed to blend the comedy and the horror elements well enough. Another example to Joss Whedon, Firefly, right?
Right.
Now,
right. Yeah.
Perfect example, actually. Now, I think, well, it does borrow not too much, but it's kind of like Star Wars in a way, right? But
it's Han
like
Solo the series.
Yeah, Han Solo. Like the first half
it's
when
Han
they
Solo
go into
series,
Tatooine.
Yeah,
it's
but
like
you
that,
do your
right?
world building.
Right, exactly. But Joss Whedon didn't come and say, "Hey, I love Star Wars so much, I'm gonna redo Star Wars." No,
right, exactly.
This is how the Orville feels like. It feels like this man loves Star Trek, and nothing wrong with that. But you are a talented writer. I'll talk about his talent in a bit. And he does have, he has some great narratives, right? It's just the execution is kind of hit or miss, right? He has some great ideas, some modern topics he touches on, and that's great. But when you're doing it in this familiar style, like I say, I'm not a big Trekkie. I'm not even a Trekkie at all. But I can't help when I watch these episodes and I hear the kind of calming sort of inspirational music, the editing and the way how they will fade out a commercial break. It's like a legit episode of Star Trek that I'm watching here,
right?
And just the way how it even right down to the very end, and how the music sounds like and swells, whatever, it's like I'm watching Star Trek The Next Generation again, but it's the Orville. So like you have to give them a some level of difference here, you know what I mean? And with a guy like him, you could tell he could have just sit down and just figured this out. Don't just do this Star Trek worship because you have the opportunity and it's such a passion project and you love it so much, you know what I mean? But you could do something much better with this, man.
Right. Me too. I fully agree with you.
Acting wise is solid. I will give it that. The acting is solid.
Here's the thing. I like everybody. I like everybody except for.
I'm going to get to that. Right. Yeah. Everybody. Yeah. I love the characters. The doctor. The strong chick Alara. I like her. I think she's cute.
She's fall flattered for me a little bit, but yeah, she okay.
Yeah. Sometimes when she does dramatic, when she gets dramatic, it could kind of fall flat, I would admit. Like the moment where she had to be captain temporarily, is like, well, you understand where they're coming from because she's inexperienced. But then there was the one where she felt that she was psychologically unfit to perform a particular task, that people die.
The virtual reality.
Yeah, the virtual reality thing, and that's right. But still, she does a great job. Everybody does a great job. But Seth MacFarlane,
yeah.
I know the man committed. He is committed, right? He could do comedic timing. He could do the little awkward jokes. He could do that well, and he could do the little dramatic stuff good here and there. But just as just the main figure, just as the the commander, the person calling the shots. Like, you want to look at this guy and be like, yeah, I see him as his captain, as his hero. He don't look it. Sorry, he just doesn't look it.
No, yeah, you have terrible.
Yeah,
you might have terrible screen presence.
Yeah, right. That's it. Screen presence. He just doesn't. Yeah. He does not have it. And also, as committed as he is to the role, you just watch him as like, yeah, but you're Seth MacFarlane, Dread. You know what I mean?
But that's the problem. That's the problem is that he micromanaging a little too much now. Because if you think about it, he writing, he producing, he doing all this shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it had to look like Trek, but looking too much like Trek. And
Right.
as I said, the analogy I like thinking is like with his career in particular is like American Dad. American Dad, you could tell with American Dad is not his style of writing and humor.
Right.
In my opinion, like it doesn't feel like Family Guy at all now. It does its own thing, and they need to do that with the Orville.
Yeah.
First of all, they need to sit down and do some solid world building for the Union, right? Have certain things, facts
Actually
make sense.
explain the Union, not just have people
Well, no, I mean,
talk
to
and
me,
then be like, well,
Right.
why did you do this? Why did you disobey our order?
Right.
You know?
yeah, but you have some workable world building with the Union, have it make sense.
Correct, yeah.
Certain things like we know certain things like how fast Union ships are. They're very, very fast, much faster than Federation ships actually. If I remember correctly, it's 10 light years a second or something like that.
Right.
That's really fast.
Yeah.
Then they have stuff like explore where the limits of their space is. They left a plot device I didn't really address. This is in the episode prior where we know teleportation does exist.
Yes.
Now, they show teleportation existing apparently with the planet that was phasing in and out. So that's a big super race that they could deal with in the future now. The phase planet at the end of the episode, right? What else? They need to make it actually funny, please. Like, geez, but the humor just
No.
don't work.
Right. So this.
I don't know. They had to sit down and make that humor work and make it flow better.
Yes.
Characterization.
Yes, this is the next thing I want to get at. Sorry, with the humor, right?
Yeah.
So you know, Seth MacFarlane, he like a joke. He like to write jokes. He like to work in jokes within narratives. That's
Yeah.
fine, but jokes need to work. For one thing,
Flat.
they need to work. Most of the times they fell flat. Like probably every once in a while, I would chuckle or might like genuinely laugh because of
Right.
how smart or how unexpected the joke was, or how
Right.
awkward it felt. Like the characters did the joke now basically.
Yeah.
But once again, though, if somebody like say Edgar Wright was going at it, bring his humor into it without losing the seriousness of the story itself, it would work. Like Shawnee
Right.
Dead, for example, he could have pulled that off. But just back to Seth MacFarlane at the forefront, right? Now, once again, passion project. I could tell this man just wants to be taken seriously as a director, as a creator, as an actor, not just be the voice of Peter Griffin among other characters in Family Guy. You know,
Right.
so it's like, well, yes, now I have the opportunity to do hour-long, serials, and I could tell real stories and bring a Black Mirror kind of, storytelling to my repertoire, you know what I mean, and be respected. Cool, lovely, but dude, in my opinion, I felt that because, like I say, because he's doing so much, him being in the forefront is almost like, well, yeah. So it always comes off like he's showing off as well. Like it had to be about me. It's about my film, about my project.
It's self-indulgent.
Yeah. So
It is
I
very
have to be in
self-indulgent.
front. You know what I mean? You could have gotten anybody else.
Yeah.
Well, you could have even gotten Victor Garber to be at the forefront, and you could have just been the lieutenant or whatever it is. So he could have
Well,
been
that's
in the
the-
story. He could be in the film,
right.
but just not as the star because he's doing
Yeah.
so much as is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He could have just been in the sidelines, in my opinion. But yeah, what else to talk about? The stories for the most part are kind of hit or miss for me. There were a few episodes for me, actually more than two. You counted out two. There were about 3 or 4 that stood a lot just because of
Okay.
how well written they were. And after a while, like just after watching the show, I kind of realized, well, okay, I'm not gonna go into this thing expecting a lot of humor. I just have to expect a Star Trek-esque sci-fi story. So if I just approach it like that, then I probably will enjoy it. But still, once again, because it just feels so damn familiar, and you just wish that he could have done so much more with the material. It just really comes off like just a Star Trek clone, and not even a really intelligent one of that. It's like, all right,
Yeah, it's a bunch of spec scripts.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of spec scripts. Again, it's Monday, and it's feel like Monday morning quarterbacking.
yeah, and just finally, just looking at Star Trek Discovery, which admittedly I haven't gotten around to watching yet. It
Right.
almost feels like you could just take these spec scripts, right, add them to Star Trek Discovery, and nobody would even notice.
Well,
In
okay.
no way, but
Yeah, okay, no, alright.
with,
So
with the exception of the
you had to watch,
characters.
you had to watch Discovery to make that judgment.
Alright,
because
alright, okay,
Discovery doesn't operate like that. Again, the comparison to Discovery is closer to more Stargate Universe.
Alright.
And that's another show I really defended as well. But yeah, it's not not that simple. But you'll see.
Okay.
If you watch it, you'll see and judge it.
Alright, understood. But I don't know. It's just that, once again, passion project. I love Star Trek. Fox have we own Star Trek now, but it's not really doing anything interesting. And last thing I'll say before I get to my rating, the show really needs a sense of identity. Like Firefly is not Star Trek or Star Wars. Firefly is Firefly.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Firefly is a cult favorite. I wasn't the biggest fan of Firefly, but I really do enjoy Firefly. I would watch it again, you know what I mean? But because it's its own thing. And I'll say this, this last thing I'll say. Now I do see Orville having some cult status in the near future.
It does.
Like,
no, it already does.
Okay, right.
But I would argue it only does because of a quote unquote backlash against Discovery.
Right, against Discovery. Right. Now I think for me though, I think that once that backlash dies, I think that in the long run people would look back on this show and be like, well, this was Seth MacFarlane doing something different. He was
right.
Because he's doing Family Guy for 16 seasons already. So
right.
Now he has a chance to do something different, something that's not cringeworthy as Ted 2 or A Million Ways to Die in the West. And you can tell he put his heart into it and he loves this stuff, but it's just so familiar that it, like I say, just does not have a sense of identity. Like Firefly is not Star Trek or Star Wars. Firefly is Firefly. It borrows elements from those shows, but still Firefly is Firefly.
Yeah, it
went out of its way to do something different, and that's why it has longevity. This show, on the other hand, I fear might not have that much longevity because of how familiar it feels. Like I watch this and I feel like, this is taking me back to when I was young and when Star Trek: The Next Generation was on TV.
Right. But that's the thing. It have a ton of people.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It have a ton of people that they prefer that. That's what they want. They just want. That's what I say is member berries.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
You're right.
It have a lot of people who want that. They just want that. They say, well, no, it reminded me of old Star Trek and you all feel good. Everything was. All right, look, if that's what you like, cool. I have no critique of that.
Yeah.
I have a problem with that because that is not treading new ground.
Yeah.
That is nostalgia in the worst way, and I don't like that.
Right. And I get that Seth not trying to do parody, and that's fine,
Right.
He loves the material. He's not gonna poke fun at it. But you want to make this thing comedic. You want to call this thing a comedy drama. You want to add in these little random moments of humor. Just amp up on the humor a little bit more. You're not going to take away from the core of the story. It could be dramatic. It could be serious at times.
Okay.
But if you want to be funny,
there's my okay. So I have
into being funny.
Tonally, what they need to do with it is make it okay. So I don't know if you remember it, our old Robot Chicken sketch called I think Night Shift.
Remember what that was about?
Basically, it was Star Trek: The Next Generation, the Night Shift. So what it was is that the joke is that the TNG crew will go off and sleep, and then the night crew will come on. And they well relaxed and laid back now.
Right.
And everything is about a party and solving problems with parties and that kind of shit. To me, this show could do something like that, where it's a more schlubby version of the Federation. See how the Federation we know are real uptight or anything like that?
Yeah.
Or they could have the Union be real uptight and whatnot, but you get to see a ship that more laid back.
Yeah.
Because of the nature of the Orville. That would work. Instead of trying to make it serious.
Yeah,
instead of making the show serious, you do a comedy bit version of the thing. Because the problem is that the show not funny.
That's the
problem.
So I can't help but focus on the seriousness or the narrative that what they're trying to tell me in these
it can't
episodes.
Be serious because the way they already pushing the Orville. Remember they already set up that the Orville is a kind of small side ship anyway.
Yeah.
So why is it doing cutting edge exploration? That really made sense to me. Shouldn't it be like one of the bigger ships or where we see other ships that bigger and they could handle more with bigger crews and whatnot. Like the Enterprise, you could understand why the Enterprise is cutting edge because the Enterprise is the flagship of the Federation. The Orville is not the flagship of the Union. So from a world building standpoint, they could have things be more like the Orville is more arbitrary, normal day-to-day stuff.
Yeah.
You don't really get that from that because the show's supposed to be like, well, we discovered this for the first time and we discovered that for the first time. It's like, what? Why?
Yeah.
And to me, they should do more. Don't try to make it serious. Make a joke, make it funny, make it schlubby. Make it genuine, like a schlubby version of the Trek. Well, characters get drunk, and they kind of do that. They have parties, they do this kind of stuff. A little more
what they do in the show, I was about to say that they do have these moments of downtime, which I actually like.
Right, so they had a part where the girl says she had a little marijuana cake, like she just replicate one in a little scene. Like, okay, marijuana is a thing in the future. Cool.
Yeah, like that's a little.
Or they get drunk ever so often, or they play games, or like they do the thing with the guy's leg and fall off. Little stuff like that is work, but it needs to stitch together better now.
Yeah, it needs to balance the humor. If you want the humor to remain in the show, it just needs to balance it out well, where it's more 2/3 seriousness / we try to be like a real Star Trek episode, and then 1/3, this is Seth MacFarlane presents the Orville.
Right.
So
let me
just jump into ratings one time, because I find that we spent a lot of time on the Orville, but for me, I'll give this a lighter, decent 3 out of 5 stars. It's it's disposable is one of those shows you watch, but like for me, when I was binging it, I was kind of bored. I was just like kind of pausing long in between the episodes. Anyway, it didn't really grip me as much as it did because of how familiar it felt. It really does feel like you should watch this on a weekly basis, not on a 7-8 hour binge. It wouldn't work that way. But I'm hoping with the next season here, it does figure out what it's trying to be. And I think with Seth MacFarlane's brain, he could figure it out. He could do something.
Right, and as I say, much like with Discovery, the way Discovery structure itself, again, it's a lot like Stargate Universe, where it's a lot of preamble, and then you have to get to the story to set up the new story. With the Orville, again, it's for me, this first stuff was pretty weak. As it is, I'll give it a 4 out of 10.
All right.
But as it is, it think of what TNG was. I have no problem giving this show a fair shake, because TNG took 2 seasons to get good. Right, TNG took 2 seasons to get good, and I really hope he say, okay, next season he sit down and then do a proper autopsy on this first season and make sense of why so much of it does not work.
Yes.
And fix it up. And again, the analogy is like American Dad. American Dad kind of sucked when it first started, and then it became, in my opinion, one of the funniest animated comedy shows in a long time for me.
Right.
In terms of unique humor, good pacing, and good storytelling overall. And I really hope the Orville becomes that. It becomes the American Dad for science fiction.
Right.
All right. Well, American Dad does a lot of science fiction, but you get my point.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. And that's it. So I don't know. I'm still on the fence about it. The only reason I just jump on the show a little too much is because the fans defend it in the worst way, and they don't need to do that, right? And they try to use it as a cudgel against Discovery, and I was like, yeah, but Discovery's chalk and she's way better than this. Why is you trying to jump on this? Whatever.
Yeah.
That's about it. I don't have nothing else to talk about. You can move on.
Right. Cool.